Hello YouTube, my name is Sam, aka The Sensible Leftist, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how women's breasts are under assault by the medical community. And before I continue, if you end up liking this video, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, someone, not recently, but someone did ask me, what would you do if you met a nice girl, she was everything you ever wanted, and she had a nice, pair of, D or double D cup breast, and then a year later found out that she tests positive for the BRCA gene and wants to get a mastectomy and had no interest in getting reconstructive surgery, even if you were willing to pay for it. Now, I could say the socially appropriate answer, or I could give my honest answer, which is I would feel very apprehensive, almost to the point of saying no, simply because of the fact that I don't want to see her cutting her tits off over a stupid test that says she might get cancer someday. And before anybody starts hurling labels at me, such as misogynist or malchauvinist, please understand that after doing research, there was a reason why I feel that way. First things first, a little history. The BRCA gene was not discovered by 23andMe. It was discovered by an independent research lab who, at the time of discovery, stated explicitly that if a woman tests positive for it, she doesn't have to rush out and get her tits cut off. She just has to be diligent about, getting tested every year. Fair enough. Then 23andMe buys the test, charges $30 to take it, and basically tells women that if you don't cut your tits off, if you test positive, you'll surely die of breast cancer. Well, first off, yes, the gene does make a woman more susceptible to getting breast cancer, but it's not a guarantee. A woman can go through her whole life with this gene and never get cancer, and essentially, basically, at that point, cut her tits off for no reason. And there's other things, too, that further solidified my opinion on this. There was a medical expert that went on one of our local TV affiliates and said that, oh, and by the way, just so you know, before I get to that, the BRCA, the BRCA gene test, was actually chided for its accuracy. And when I saw these initial headlines, I thought, great, of all the tests that they don't want to be wrong, this should be one of them. Turns out it was chided for false negatives. And I'm like thinking to myself, wait, so they're upset that more women are not getting scaremongered into chopping their tits off? Then, as I was saying, a supposed medical expert went on TV on one of our local affiliates and said that even if a woman tests negative for the BRCA gene, if she has even just one person in her family that got breast cancer, she might want to consider having a mastectomy anyway. And I'm like, why is the medical community so hell-bent on scaremongering women into chopping their tits off? Well, as usual, follow the money. See, when a doctor performs breast removal surgery, whether it's done on a woman with cancer or for gender-affirming purposes on a trans person, they get paid handsomely, whether it's done through a woman's insurance or out of pocket. And quite simply, the more women that get scaremongered into getting their tits chopped off, the more money these doctors make. This whole thing, to be honest with you, screams like a racket from 23andMe's end just to make their friends at the surgery field more money using women's breasts as cannon fodder. And I got news for you. Them declaring bankruptcy, I don't think it was due to money troubles. I think that they know that there's going to be a massive class action lawsuit from all the women that they scaremongered and getting their tits chopped off and are now coming out for blood on them. That's what I think on that. Now, the second thing I want to mention, I mentioned gender-affirming purposes on a trans person. Within the last 10 years, there has been a 1,500% increase in adolescent and teenage girls seeking gender-affirming care to become boys. Now, if the increase over this time period was maybe 20-30%, I could chalk it up to societal acceptance, but not 1,500%. There can't be that many girls with gender dysphoria. And once again, the medical community, this time with help from trans activists on TikTok, have basically been working overtime to convince girls that the very things that make them unique and special are coping mechanisms for gender dysphoria, and they start scaremongering them that if they don't transition to men, they're going to commit suicide one day. I mean, look, children's hospitals are putting out videos that, oh, telling parents that, oh, if their daughter likes playing with, erector sets and trucks instead of Barbie dolls or doesn't want to grow her hair out, she might be trans. And then you have trans activists on TikTok who went from who went from just wanting fair and equal treatment of trans people to basically treating the trans community as a cult that needs to be recruited into, using TikTok as their tool of choice, basically telling tomboyish girls that, oh, all those things that make you unique, they're a coping mechanism for gender dysphoria. You need to transition or you'll kill yourself. And that's the problem. And nobody wants to really counter or fight against that because they get viewed as transphobic, which is just freaking stupid. Calling that in your question and basically saying, hold up a second on this crap ain't right. That's not transphobia, okay? The third thing that I want to mention here is the fact that, and I couldn't believe this when I saw it, but there were some TikTok videos that went viral and got shared on other social media platforms showing women, proudly, showing off their mastectomy scars. Were these women trans and transitioning? No. Did these women have cancer? No. Believe it or not, these women are chopping off their breasts just so they can be, quote unquote, liberated from the male gaze. Yes, you heard that correctly. And because I thought I was seeing things, I asked my favorite AI research tool about it, and I'll put what it said up there now. And yes, it's true. There are women that are going to, surgeons of questionable ethics and basically getting their tits chopped off because they simply don't want to understand that straight men like looking at women's boobs. Now, there are two things here. Number one, is this what modern day feminism has done to women? That they're basically brainwashing them into hate men that much they would rather chop their tits off than understand, again, that straight men like looking at women's boobs? The other thing too, what about the doctors here? Why are these doctors performing these surgeries? 20 years ago, or maybe even just, 10, 15 years ago, if a doctor received a request from a woman to chop her tits off with the reason being of, I'm tired of men looking at my chest, these doctors would refer her to a psychiatrist. But no, not anymore. These surgeons are more than happy to basically make money off mutilating these women for no stupid reason. And, here's a question that someone might ask me. What if you met a girl and on the first date she caught you looking at the fact that she has no boobs and told you, I cut them off because I was tired of the male gaze? I got news for you. I wouldn't be an asshole. I would probably go on one date and then end it because, quite frankly, I don't want to be with someone who's clearly mentally unwell, okay? But that's the problem. And I'm not even going to completely blame the women on this. I'm going to blame the doctors for performing these surgeries instead of basically sending these women to get the proper mental help they need. Because that's what they need. They need mental help if they legit want to cut their breast off instead of basically coming to terms with the fact that straight men like looking at boobs, okay? And the other problem too, as the AI research tool pointed out, is that gatekeeping nowadays can be seen as discriminatory, and there are some doctors that are legit so scared of being shamed online or being sued that they would literally throw away ethics and the do no harm basically mantra and operate on a woman for no reason. But it's insane that has happened. And personally, if it was left up to me, if I was the medical board and found out that a surgeon basically mutilated a woman's chest and removed her breast simply because she just doesn't want to be subject to the male gaze anymore, that doctor would lose his license so fast. But anyway, that's all I have to say about this particular video. Again, if you end up liking what you just saw, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I shall see you on the next one. You have a good day, guys.